Good evening, everybody. My name's Dave Mozdren, and I am the foundation presenter today. They wanted somebody that was handsome, young, and enthusiastic, and that person couldn't make it, so you got me. All right. My contact information is up there, so if you have any questions, you want to go, you need to get back and hold of me, please feel free to do so. And I'm having problems moving my slides. All right. When we talk about the foundation, some people might say it's like watching paint dry. But in reality, if you look at this thing, it's really depends on who's in the audience. In this particular case, the reality is some people might feel it's still pretty exciting. And I feel it's pretty exciting. I've been running foundation for our club for probably about 10 years now, and I'm still doing that while I'm still president because I didn't want to give up that job. So watching paint dry is in some cases is very exciting for some people. I'm going to show you a quick video. Do you guys see this?
Rotary has never backed away from the hardest challenges because we're committed to a better, more equitable world. This year is no exception. Staying away from people and places we love in order to keep them safe. And despite the challenges, your generosity continued. Your donations provided more than $7 million to fund coronavirus relief projects in communities worldwide. And thanks to you, citizens of Kigali, Rwanda have their first public library. Women in rural Costa Rica are enriching their communities through social entrepreneurship. At-risk kids in Puerto Rico have an artistic outlet to heal their emotional traumas. Rotary and its partners have reduced 99.9% of polio cases worldwide. Thanks to you, the Rotary Foundation raised $408 million last year. So together, we can keep doing good in the world. Donors who take action help create lasting change.
Alan.
Possible without you.
All right, we saw Alan and Naomi there. They're going to get hit with fines every single time that goes out. And that's kind of how I roll with our club. So Alan,
You get
your $100 would be appreciated. Thank you very much. You can give it to your club though, Alan. You don't have to give it to our club. Let me cancel this. All right. So we're going to talk a little bit about the foundation chair responsibilities. And really your chief responsibility as the chair of the Rotary Club's Foundation Committee is to inspire your club members to give to the foundation and participate in its activities. I say inspire because anybody can stand up and read about what you have to do for the Rotary Foundation. But inspire gets members involved where they want to give money because they know that that money is going to a good cause. And it's getting them excited about wanting to do it so they don't feel like they're doing it for you, they're doing it for themselves. They want to give you the money. And that's, if you're in that position with your club, you're doing a great job. So one of the items is inspire club members and give to the Rotary Foundation. That means giving it to the annual fund. And we always talk about share. Does everybody understand what share is? And that means it comes back to your club. I see everybody here's, nobody here is probably new members. Can I see a show of hands of those that are new as a foundation chair? One, good. Natasha, great. Any questions you have, feel free to ask. Make it a big deal when you celebrate your members' accomplishments, when they become a Paul Harris Fellow. Just don't hand them their pin and say, hey, here's your third pin. You know, make it a big deal. Have a little bit of a celebration. Plan it out. Make sure that they know that this is a special event because you know who's going to see that? It's those people that haven't reached that next milestone and they're going to want to do it also. So get them excited. Celebrate every event. And during these times when we're dealing with a situation where we're not able to meet in person, Rotary Direct is actually so much more important because we're not able to collect checks from people at the door. We're not able to get their checks. They have to mail them to us, and that makes it a little bit more difficult for people to get their funds. So instead of asking them to mail, which oh, it's lost in the mail, or I forgot to mail it, sometimes it takes me a month to get those checks. in the mail because people forget. Sign them up for Rotary Direct. That takes the work out of it. The other thing you could do is see if you can sign up with some online like Square or something of that nature where people can make their payments online. We set that up this year with our club and it works out great. We just try to limit how big it is. So if it's a big payment, send the check or I'll come and pick it up. Promote foundation grants and activities and help members participate in these grants. A lot of these are self-supportive arguments. Attend the grant management seminars to ensure that your club qualifies for the Rotary Foundation Global Grants. If you don't attend, you're one of the key people that has to be at these things in order for your club to qualify. So when they say it's time for you to show up for the foundation seminar, you need to be there because if you don't, your club won't qualify. So make sure you attend those grant seminars. Oversee the global grant qualification process because you're going to know it better than your president. You're going to know it better than the chairs that are running it. And if you can't get them to attend these meetings, you've got to be there to explain to the treasurer why they need to have a separate account for district grant funds. Conduct inspirational foundation-focused club programs at least 4 times a year. And these can be anything. You could be talking about a project that you did and how the Rotary Foundation was able to fund all of it or half of it so that you bought that project for 50 cents on the dollar. That's where people start to understand the importance of the foundation, that it allows you to do a lot more projects within your club with the same dollar amount that you have. So if you're not spending all of the money that you have available to you, then you're giving it to somebody else to spend. Work with your treasurer and manage any Rotary grant funds your club receives. Sometimes that becomes an argument because the treasurer might not understand if they're new at this job. They may not understand exactly how the foundation works with the funds that come in from RI. Work with your district's international charities. You're going to have to help them with global grants and how they get those funds and how those get dispersed. Because as the foundation chair, that money comes to you both for district grants, but also for the foundation global grant funds. So you're going to have to work with them. Work with your treasurer to submit donations to the foundation in an accurate and timely manner. I can't tell you how many times people have said they've given a check to their foundation chair and it's been 2 months and it hasn't shown up at RI yet. And then we find out that they haven't even received the check because it's been sitting on the guy's desk because they wanted to get a few more before they mailed it in. So have courtesy. If you want to wait, at least let them know that you're going to do that. All right. Work with your club's membership committee to ensure a positive club image and experience. You know, we talk about advertising about or publicizing what we're doing within our club for foundation goals. But if we have a new member come in and you don't share that before that member comes in, how are they going to feel when they find out, hey, your goal was to say that you need to also give me $100 a year or $200 a year in annual funds? Well, if they know that up front before they join, then you've got the right to ask for it because they've already agreed upon it. You've got permission. Be creative, be consistent, and make it fun because it can be fun. You can do things up in front of the podium that will get people excited about having you come up and ask for their funds. And they'll gladly take that checkbook out of their pocket and give it to you with a smile and later pat you on the back and say, thank you for doing what you're doing. And that's probably the best feeling as a foundation chair, is that people actually appreciate that you're asking them for the money because sometimes they forget. We're going to talk about foundation plan and how we do that. How many of you folks work at a company where you don't set any goals? No, you don't set any goals, you don't go anywhere. So setting goals is probably the first criteria, and most of you have already done it, but I'm going to question you if you've done it correctly. I'm going to question you and challenge you to see if maybe you could do better. And because there's no prize for a low goal. And there's no prize for exceeding that low goal. So if you exceed and you get 300% of your numbers, I can guarantee you there's not going to be a prize for that. So you want to try to set a goal that is going to push your club, but is attainable. It needs to be attainable. But I know every time I finish my year, my boss comes up to me and says, okay, you did $100 million this year. Can you do 100 million and 100,000 or another 20%? And I go, well, gee, okay, fine. And we have to do it. Share and socialize your goals. I can't tell you how important this is. Once you get what goal you want, you need to say this in front of your board. You need your board to approve that. All of your board members need to say, okay, I agree with that. And that goal could be a total of dollar amount, but it also should be, what is your goal for each person in your club? Have you set that goal? You might say, I've set $2,000 for our club, but have you said to your club members, every one of you has a goal, and that's $100 per person, or $50 per person, or $25. You set that. We're not going to tell you, but it's important for you to have that goal, because everybody needs to know it's not one person's job. It's not two persons' job. It is everyone's job. That's why they call it E-Ray, every Rotarian, every year. And once you've set that mindset, it just follows you every single year. And they all know, well, it's $250 for us. That's what we do. Lead by example. I tell you, one of the things that irks me the most is at the end of the year, I'll go do a report and I'll ask for foundation chairs, and I see a handful of them that haven't given a dime. And I'm going, how do you plan to be a foundation chair and ask people to give to a cause that you're not willing to give to yourself? We all know that. So be an example, you give yourself, and ask other people to match your gift. And encourage the board leaders. I've seen the same report of officers where presidents and vice presidents haven't given a dime. And I hope I'm not upsetting anybody here, but that's your job. And if you can't get your board to agree with it, then you're having some other obstacles that you got to deal with. And that's that the board isn't supporting you. So get your board to vote and approve this. Once they vote and approve it, then get them on board saying, where are my champions? Who's going to come up and help me start this off? Make giving simple. We talked a little bit about that. Try to figure out ways, especially in this distance Zoom meeting process, of how we get people to make it easy. Have them do it online. Set up a Square account or some type of PayPal or anything of that nature, or your Quickens account. And all of that can be used for direct deposit. And people can use it for happy dollars. They can use it for whatever they want, but they could also give it for their annual fund donation. Share your progress towards your goal. If you're not getting up in front of your board every month and sharing where you're at with the goals, then you're not keeping them apprised, because that can give them feed to basically say, let's get behind her or him and get that going. And also it gets the members, when you go in front of your board, in front of your members, once in a while, I'd say at least on a quarterly basis, you should be telling your members where we're at as far as our goals, both as a club and as far as individuals. Now, you don't want to signal them out, but I have given emails that have personally shown where each individual was and where their goal is and how much more they need to attain to become their next Paul Harris Fellow, how much they need to have to meet their goal for the year, what they need for Polio Plus, so forth and so on. I give them an email, or I give them a sheet of paper when they walk in the door, but that's not possible. So share those goals. Participate in district and global grants. If you're not participating in it, then they're not going to think you're interested, and they're not going to participate in it. So be an example in that area also, folks. Any questions before I move on? Okay, great.
I have one. Dave, I know we have problems tracking what people give. Have you resolved that problem with RI?
Yeah, there's ways of getting around that. And yes, there are. One of the things that, first of all, every club foundation chair needs to do is take a snapshot at the beginning of the year. If you take a snapshot at the beginning of the year, then you can figure out what everybody's donation, if you pull a report every month, I do that and I keep my own spreadsheet, and that spreadsheet's very detailed. It shows every check that I've submitted, and I also ask the members to give me their checks. I don't want them to go direct, but if they do go direct, I ask them what the dollar amount is. And then I track that every single month. So if they do Rotary Direct, I say, are you doing monthly or quarterly? And they'll say, oh, I'm doing monthly. I said, can I ask you how much you're giving on a monthly basis so I can track it? And the person might say, oh, I'm giving $25 a month, or I'm giving $100 per quarter. And I'll go, great. So when they see that they gave their next contribution, I'll see it move up by that dollar amount, and I'll see that it was confirmed. So I'll know through the reports of that I did get a confirmation. If you're in a jam, and you need to know what your cash spending for the year is, year to date, there's a way to get that report, but you're gonna have to ask for people higher than me for that. You're gonna have to go to your district governor. You could ask me and I can ask the district governor, and they'll release that report as long as you're asking for that report, not to publicize it, but to use it to help campaign for fundraising. All right?
Okay, so the short answer is you do keep track of it with your spreadsheet.
I do, absolutely. My spreadsheet,
Got it.
I wanted to show that to you, but it's so detailed that it wouldn't show up very well on this. But and it also has all the personal information on my members, so I don't want to show that also. Except
Thank
for
you.
Alan Kamimoto, he was one of the best. No. All right. Celebrate World Polio Day. Does anybody know what that date is? If you can send me that date, the first one that gives me that date is going to get 100 recognition points. That's 100 points to your next Paul Harris Fellow.
October 24th.
Who said it? Who said it first?
Cheryl.
Cheryl.
Oh, Paul, it doesn't matter.
Naomi, can you keep track of this for me?
In the chat earlier.
I want to make this larger so I can see everything here. Excuse me, folks.
Dwayne was the first at 7:16.
All right, so it's October 24th. That's the time that we're supposed to be celebrating Polio Plus. So please participate in the Polio Plus program. Rich, he's our man for Polio Plus, and he's going to be doing some great things for October 24th and fundraising for that. But we're so close, folks. And what I just did was an example of what you can do to help spur people to give additional funds. Give away some of your recognition points for additional money. In this case, I gave it to you as a gift, but I might match you for a cash donation. Celebrate Foundation Month. This isn't for any money, but who knows what month that is? November. And you should be publicizing what you're going to be doing in November in October or sooner, so that when people come to the meeting, they're going to be prepared to know that you're going to be seeing a lot of me, because I'm going to be doing all of the foundation awareness in front of them and asking for their funds. Leverage recognition points and encourage your members to give more. We'll talk more about recognition points, but I think all of your clubs have them. All of your clubs should be using them. They don't help anybody else, so might as well help them get some more funds in the coffers. And know who your champions are within your club. Do you folks know who your whales are? Do you know the ones that give consistently? Do you know who's the Paul Harris Society person who gives $1,000 a year? If you don't, you need to know who those people are. You need to talk to them individually. Go up to them, see these people, ask them what motivates you to give to the Rotary Foundation. And if they give you something inspirational, get them up on stage and have them tell their Rotary Minute on why they give to the Rotary Foundation. If you don't do that, it's just your words. It's nobody else's. So get your team, which is your champions, there behind you to help you with. I go up my Paul Harris Society champions and I ask them, instead of just giving me your check to $1,000, can I use you and have you say, you will match anybody up to $1,000 if they give matching money. And so they'll say, okay, I'll give 100, I'll give 100, I'll give 100. We get up, I'll give 400, I'll give 500. Now we're at $1,000. He still was going to give me his $1,000, but I got a bunch of people to give me a lot more. So I got another $1,000. So use that. Use your champions to help you out. If you're going to start a campaign to get people excited, call up a few of your champions. Say, hey, are you going to bring a check this Monday? Can I get you to stand up and wave that check? Can I get you to stand up and wave the check? Get 3 or 4 of them. I guarantee you the other people are reaching into their pocket or their wallet or their purse, and they're getting their wallets out to get their checkbook to be able to give you more money too. And you're going to have a line waiting for you to give up your checks. Remind your club members why they give so that we can change the world. And that's what your job is. You probably have the most exciting job in the Rotary. I mean, bar none. You can continue doing this job every single year and get better at it. As a president, you're there and you're gone. But as a foundation chair, you basically are molding what your club can do, not just this year, but the year after, the year after, and the year after. And it does get contagious. Everybody starts to see that it snowballs. We're going to talk about that paint on the wall, and that's the reports. But I don't know about you folks, but I like looking at reports. I like numbers. I like playing with numbers. And I love when they match out. We got Naomi smiling. She's a banker. She loves numbers. I love numbers. So we're going to talk about this. Now, have all of you made sure you're registered as the foundation chair for your club? Okay, make sure that RI's got you registered as the foundation chair. If you are the foundation chair, you should be able to go to the RI's website, myrotary.org, right? And this is what you're going to see. You're going to see the Rotary Foundation, and over here, foundation reports. But you're not going to see that foundation reports until you hover over the Rotary Foundation. So you don't click on it, you just hover over it. That's why it's in yellow. And then you're going to end up sliding your mouse over to the reports, and you're going to click on that. When you do that, a bunch of reports should show up. If you don't see any reports on giving, you got a problem, and we need to talk to RI to figure out why that's not working. And we've seen one already. So you're going to see something like this. And it says club giving, Paul Harris Fellowship, benefactors report, club recognition. And if you click on view those reports, the next thing you're going to see is this. Now, I will guarantee you that you won't see all of these because I see some things that you won't see, and Laura sees things that I won't see, and vice versa as you go up the ladder. Some of these reports are district level reports, so they don't want you to see everything that's being done at everybody's club, but most of these in this area right here should be available to you. And we're going to talk about some of them and how you can use those. Has anybody looked at their club fundraising analysis? All right. This is a great trend report that shows what your club's done for the last 4 years and the current year, so 5 years total. If I click on that, this can be used to, this report can be used to help your club's annual giving goal for the year, to set that. It'll also track your club's progress, and it also will show you current trends as well as past trends of your club in giving, both on annual giving and total giving, all right? So this is one from a club, and I'll show you here that this is blocked out. So this is a real club that exists. The date's a little bit old, so you can ignore that. I don't look at the current date because this is November. So if I look at the current date, it's only 4 or 5 months into the year. I'm not even there yet. So, but I want to look at these. So the annual fund for the past years was 18,000, 20,000, 25,000, 20,000. So they do a pretty good job. And then the annual fund contributions, so that's their goal, and this is what they accomplished. So this shows you here the goal, and this is what's been accomplished. So if we look at this, the annual foundation contribution shows that in 2018, 2019, they raised $24,300. So can you use these numbers to help figure out what your next year budget should be? Certainly. Because if you look at this, you can see that also during that year, they finished the year with 43 members. Do you see that? And as an annual per capita giving, scream if you guys can't see this. they were doing $565 per member as a total giving. Now that's a lot. Some clubs kick that out the door even higher than that. But some of you will probably be around the $100 range because that's what we averaged last year. Wasn't it, Laura? About $100, $99 per person per year for annual giving? You're on mute. You're still on mute. All right. So that's going to help you because if you're trying to find out what your next years are, you look at your population. You said, okay, we've accomplished this every single year, unless you've had something drastically happen where half of your members left or your big whales passed away or something of that nature, God forbid. You've got to take that into consideration, but come up with a goal that is attainable, but also something that makes you fight for, because no one's going to ding you for not making your number, and no one's going to give you a Cupid doll if you're 300% over your goal. This also shows you here your E-rate. It shows you that here, this club did 44 members, that out of their 44 members, they hit their numbers of E-rate, also sustaining. Can someone tell me for 100 points, what is a sustaining member?
$100 per year.
$100 per year. Who was that?
Sharon.
Sharon. Thank you, Sharon. Thanks, Naomi. I appreciate you being my scribe. She's got to remind me to pay all these. So that is getting $100. So if you want to be a 100% E-rate sustaining club, what does that mean? Anybody, take yourself off mute.
Every member has to donate at least $100.
Bingo, bingo. Every member, not 99, because they won't give it to you for 99. They won't give you this fancy banner for 99%. I tried because we grouped up one year. And so, but they give you this nice banner, and the banner says, you are only one club of 50 some clubs in the district that has done this. Only one. And there's only like 3 clubs that do the $25 E-rate. So set that as a goal, because not only do you see that if I were to take our population of our club, it's only 40 members, and I said, you only have to do $100, we're going to be coming out with $4,000. But because of the mindset, and certain people give more and other people give more, that number gets up higher and it gets bigger every single year. And no one complains. That's what sustaining is. And then there's the Paul Harris Society eligible. Those people that are eligible to be a Paul Harris Society member. So this is your analysis. I'm going to move on to the next one. This is my Bible, folks. This is what I use every single month. Club recognition summary. So the names are blocked out to protect the innocent. This shows you that these are all active members. And over here gives you the name of the club, tells you when they became a 100% Paul Harris Fellow Club. It tells you how many of their members are Paul Harris Fellows, how many are benefactors, how many are bequest societies. I'm not going to go into the definition of all of these. I think most of you know that. If you don't, you can send me an email, happy to answer you. And Rotary non-donors, those are people that aren't giving because they may be a new member to your club. Well, how many people know that new members do not have to give a donation to count towards E-rate? Now you know. So we don't want you to have to bring a new member in the last month of the year and then say, oh, by the way, we need another $100 from you because I need $100 in the next month or I'm going to lose my 100% E-rate. So whenever a new member comes into the club, they're welcome to give money to the foundation, but they're not obligated to. None of them have to give a penny for their first whole year in Rotary or the remaining of that year. But the next calendar year, they have to start. All right? Does that make sense? Good.
Dave, I have a question.
Sure, Sharon.
This is Sharon. With those members that are Paul Harris 8 or showing 9,000,
yes,
it's very difficult for the chair to know how close they are to becoming a major donor at 10,000.
Yes.
So,
In fact, you're never going to know because half of that money is cash and some of that money is recognition points. And the only way to become a major donor is to have 100% cash.
cash.
So
how
that
do we find
10,000
out?
needs to be cash.
So how do
you
we
have to
find
ask
out?
you have to ask your foundation chair, who then would have to go to the district governor and ask if we can get a report that shows the club's cash donations so that we can do a campaign to encourage those people that are close to becoming a major donor to becoming a major donor. So you just need to get permission. They're trying to protect all of this doesn't show cash. And that's because we don't know how much cash is given. And that's how they protect the anonymity of those people that are members of our club. But in some cases, we need to know that. And it's for campaigns like this. So if you ask Laura Steelquist, she can request that. You ask Naomi, she can request that. You can ask me and I can go ahead and request that through Laura, but they won't even give it to me. They may because they know me, but they'll send it to Laura. So they won't send it to me. And then Laura has to send it to me.
We try to get it for each of our chairs. So the Paul Harris Society, the annual funds, Dave's the Triple Crown chair. We try to get that to them so that they can talk to the people who are close to the next goal and help them to get to it. So. And
I use that a lot because as Triple Crown, I need to know if they've made their Paul Harris Society numbers, if they've made their 10,000 major donor, and if they're a Bequest Society member. All three of those for them to become a Triple Crown. All right, so.
I'm just curious though, why did they stop at 9,000?
They stop at 9,000 to protect those people that may be considered the whales. You know, we don't want a lot of people to know that they're over 9,000 because it's 10,000, but when you start seeing people that are in 30,000 and 50,000, then they're going to say, hey, there's a mark. And that person's might getting up in age, so that could be a person I could prey upon. So they want to keep that kind of quiet. So after 9,000, it is, and you know what? There's no more Paul Harris Fellows after that. So I even have my people that are over 9,000. They say, Dave, I'll give another $500 and I'll spin the wheel and get matching money. But they don't get any matching money because there's no more Paul Harris Fellows to give them. But they still do it to basically encourage the rest of the group to do the same thing. All right, so this is your—
Dave,
yes.
Dave, you know, those individuals with over 9,000, they can go into their own personal account and see for themselves, right?
Yeah.
They can go into their own personal account.
Yes, every one of you can go see your personal history, even print it out so that the IRS knows what you've made, you contributed. Correct.
So
Dave, this is Wynn. I have a question for you then. Is it reasonable to assume by looking at foundation recognition points, which is 2 or 3 columns over, that you could look at that and go, okay, I don't know, line number 12, there's 8,325.92.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but the truth
is that something that could be used as a reference point for Sharon?
It's possible, but the issue is a lot of people use their recognition points for giving gifts to other people. In fact, that's where I use my recognition points. If I use up our clubs, I'm going to the whales out there that haven't used their points and saying, hey, can I have 10,000 of your points to use for that? And then they go away and you don't see it. So it can be, but if your club is active and to use those recognition points to get more people to give money by matching their cash donation, then you're doing the better job of getting more money in the club by giving away their free points. So these recognition points might appear as cash, but you don't see $1 there. It's considered recognition points, and that's both cash as well as gift recognition points. Like I'm giving $100, 100 recognition points today. I'm not giving you $100, but if you are at Paul Harris 6 minus 100 points, you just made your next Paul Harris Fellow, but you aren't any closer to your major donor status. That helps. Okay, so this shows you the recognition points of these individuals, and you see the asterisk that says 9,000. Those are people that I don't see the rest of their stuff. But if you're sharp and you keep a good history record, you can keep that going on forever and ever and ever. I sell it to the next, I'll sell it to the next foundation chair so they can have my report. This shows you how many Paul Harris Fellows those people have had. I'm joking, folks. And this tells you when, this shows you here, those that are on Rotary Direct on the far right-hand side, those that are Rotary Direct. And, you know, really get your board on board with this, get them to say, I'll do Rotary Direct, because if they'll do it and they stand up and do it in front of the club and make them a testimony for you, then others will join. It's very safe, it's fast, and it's very easy. Plus, if you do it with your credit card, you get mileage points if you've got a mileage card. This is your Paul Harris Fellows. We went there. I'm sorry, I'm backing up. Benefactors, I'm not going to talk too much about that. That's for $1,000 for when we go Maki Dai Dead. We can give it out. But you can also give $1,000 cash to people while you're still alive. So we call that giving it to them while you're still warm, as one of my members said. Well, instead of me giving the $10,000 when we're cold, my financial planner said I better give it to them while I'm still warm. So this talks to you about that. This shows you activity, the latest activity. If you want to know if somebody made their contribution and you see that the date was right this last month and it was to Polio Plus, then you know that they made a contribution that they said they made. And so you can see that activity. And then the last thing is the points. Now look at this, because this is important. Look at, what am I circling here? I'm circling what I call my champions.
Whales with points.
Whales with points. And whales, and these people, trust me, have not used these points, or if they did, they've already exhausted their relatives and their kids and their families. So they don't have anything else to do with these points. They might give them to somebody as a gift. One thing about these recognition points, you cannot use them for yourself. They have to be used for someone else. It could be another Rotarian to help them. What about thinking about the first time that person walks in the door and gets inducted in your club as a new member, and you say, you know what? I'm going to give you 100 recognition points to start your Paul Harris Fellow. And until you reach that, everything you give as a cash contribution, I'll match. Does that hurt you at all? No, because you're doing it with points. But it's going to encourage them that they can get their Paul Harris Fellow at half the time and give the money a little bit quicker. So I'm going to go to our club and I'll say to the club, can I use our $15,000 to match? And they'll go, sure. And if I run out of that, I'll go to this guy with 35,000 points and I'll say, hey, can I use your 35,000? So sure, no problem, Dave. You do whatever you want to do. So what we do in November, and this is a thing we've been doing for the last, how many years, Alan? 10 years?
Too many years that I can recall.
This is my foundation wheel of fortune. And you can borrow this from me. I have it in my garage. And it's an old spiff wheel from a car dealership. And I put my own numbers on it. I've got a 1X there, a 2X. I've got a 3X, a 4X. I even have a 6X. But I got a dreaded 0X in there too. 1. So you can see them. They're all marked there. And I tell the people when they're coming in November, bring your checks in, because on this day, on November, on this one Monday, you get to spin the wheel. And whatever you hit, we'll match your donation, whatever you gave that year, or whatever you brought me as a check. So I can tell you, 90% of our funds come in November. We're like, we're sucking gas fumes right now, because we've got like $600 in the foundation. We never are that low, but we always make it up in November because of this wheel. I don't know what it is about the sound of a roulette wheel, but it gets people excited. They feel they're gambling. And like I said, all those people that have 9,000 points, it doesn't help them at all. But they're coming up there and they're spinning the wheel and they hit 6 and they go, run! I go, yeah! And they get all excited and I don't even mark them down because they don't get 6,000 points. But it does get everybody else excited. So here's the example. So Molly gives 250. She writes me a check for 250. She walks up, she spends 2X. We give her another 500, and that's 750 points. You can see how that works. Joe gives 500, he hits 1X, and he gets 500. At the end of the meeting, if we're still got people left, they're lined up. at the end of the meeting, I'll say, hey, one last spin for everybody. And I'll let somebody spin it, or they'll say, Dave, you spin it, and I'll spin it. And it might land on 2. And then everybody else in that line gets 2 times that multiplier. So it becomes kind of a fun thing, folks. And you can do other things like this that you can put your own spin on, or you can use this. I don't really care. Anything that helps bring more money to the annual fund is what's my goal towards your club and to our district. But that last one, Gilda. Gilda gave a donation of $50, and she's hit 1X. So that means that we match her 50, and that would be how much total?
$100.
Who wants to give me the correct answer?
$100.
Wrong.
Recognition points.
There is a minimum recognition points that have to be transferred per individual. What is that? I see Laura's shaking her head. She knows the answer.
It's 100.
100.
It is 100. There's the Cupid doll. You're not Joanne. Your name says Joanne.
Oh, yeah. That's my wife's desktop here. I'm on.
Either that or you're a progressive guy. You could be. Anyway, I'm sorry, your name?
Mel.
Mel. Oh, shoot. From Mililani Sunrise. Thanks, yeah. Mel. So Mel, you need 100 points like a hole in the head, but I'll give it to you anyway. You could give it to somebody else. So put Mel down for 100 points. So the answer on that one is 150. Because, and that's what I do is I round up. So if someone gives me 50, I'm not going to make a big stink about it. I'll just say, I'll give you $100. You know, you can say if your dollar amounts are lower, if your club says, hey, I can't do a $100 ask or $200 ask for a $25 ask, and then say, we'll match it $100. Now you have to have points for that. If you don't have the points, then you might say, we'll accumulate them. And when you get there, we'll get you your 100 points. That's a little bit of a headache, so you may be careful about that. All right, questions on that? Does that make sense?
So this is only toward their Paul Harris fellow, right?
David, where do the points come from? How does one accrue them?
Every dollar you give to the Rotary Foundation, it gets matched by 1 recognition points. So if I go back to this page here, let's say the top line is 2,065. If I give another $100, that's going to go up to 2,165, and that recognition point's going to go up to 1,415. So that'll go up by the same dollar amount as recognition points. So every dollar I get, or in this particular case, when Mel gets his $100 from 100 recognition points, it'll go up 100 recognition points for him. Actually, it's going to go to this side of his count, the left side, this one here, not over here, because that's a gift from me. Mel could take his points and gift his kids, his grandchildren, his dog. Well, I don't know, will they give it to a dog? You know, I'll make an argument with that. If you want to give your dog a Paul Harris Fellow, I'll make an argument with that, and we'll see if it passes. We'll see. Hey, what the heck? Stranger things have happened. But I've seen stranger things go against Rotary on that one too.
All right. So could somebody give someone else 1,000 recognition points
Absolutely.
and that the person gets a Paul Harris?
Absolutely. But you don't want to give them a Paul Harris Fellow because you don't get anything out of that. You want to use those points to encourage them to give something.
No, I understand that part of it. But
if you want to gift somebody like a non-Rotarian or anybody, you know, that's great. Do that. But if you're trying to gift somebody who's a Rotarian $1,000 points, yeah, that's more of an ethical thing. I don't really, there's nothing that says you can't. You can do that. If you feel somebody's done such a great job at a particular job and you want to reward that person by giving them a Paul Harris Fellow, by all means, yes, and publicize it and let them know how special they are and give them their Paul Harris Fellow.
Sometimes you get the most work out of people that have been laid off. They don't have the money.
That's right. That's right.
Okay,
and that's,
I'm out.
All right. Understood? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, because I've been wondering where they came from.
It comes from you yourself. And And the club gets it every single time they write a check to RI, like our global grants. When they write the $5,000 check for the global grant, it shows up as recognition points for the club to use.
Dave, I have a question.
Yeah,
I have a question, Dave.
Richard.
Yeah. So when you do this Wheel of Fortune game in November with your club, do you tell them at the onset that the least amount that I can give you in recognition points is $100, so your contribution has to be $100?
With my club, they know that. Yes, I do.
But that's what you'd want. That's what you'd want to say. If somebody gives $10, then what are you going to do?
Yeah, it's up to you. I mean,
okay.
Then sometimes I use my own if I want to do it, I'll use my own personal points because that's my choice.
You mean and just give them 100?
Give them 100.
Okay.
But I normally don't do that, and in our club, nobody gives me $10. I mean, they do, but it's usually for things like happy dollars, $10, and it might go to another fundraising thing that we're doing, you know, like paying for homeless stuff for an organization, so that they might give $10 there or $25 there. But for the annual fund, most of these people know that in our club, I'll be honest with you, our goal is $250 per person. We ask for $250, they vote on it, they all know it. There are exceptions. If they are a senior citizen and they are no longer working, it's $100. If they are under 40 years old and they're new to the business field, we'll let them go with 100, but we still ask for $250 if they can afford it. If they can't, we'll stop at 100 because we still want to be, as a club, 100% sustaining club. And then we've been doing that every year for the last 3 or 4 years. All right, I'm going to have to run quickly through this, folks, because we're running out of time, and I apologize.
Hey, Dave,
yes.
Can I just, this is Gwen. I just wanted to give a shout out to you that you really helped me when I was foundation chair.
Thank you, Gwen.
Years ago. And one of the things I did is I didn't have the wheel. So just in the month of November for 30 days, I said we had enough points. We had a lot of points we looked at. And thanks to you, I knew we had them. And I just said dollar for dollar, we'll match up to $500 per person.
You can do it as simple as that.
You don't have to have, I mean, because we may not have the wheel and everything else, it was so easy, and we did the best we'd done, and we haven't done it since in 10 years in terms of giving that year, because everybody got on it and got excited and, you know, made it to the next level. So anyways, you can use it
that's
ways.
where consistency comes into play, folks. If you do it consistently every single year, like you know that's November and you're going to be doing it at that time, if you do that consistently, then it becomes a mindset, and they all know it, and they all know what's expected of them. And every single time that's approved, that member is giving you permission to ask them for their $250 because it was already approved. And I can do you the story. You know, can you help me? We're at 98%, and I really need. You're only shy by $100. Can you help me out? And I'll tell you, at the end of the year, I might have 2 people that have not paid. Guess what we do? We pass the hat. We pass the hat for cash. And we cover those people that didn't make it because there's probably a reason. And so we can still become an E-Ray club because it's that important for our club that we want to be 100% E-Ray. I've asked and one guy says, just tell me how much I need to write the check. And he knows it's not going to go to him. It's going to go to those other members. So if you can get that kind of champion behind you, you know, when you get to the end and you're crunching those numbers and you really need to get that last few people in, if they can't do it for you, you can help them by doing it for them. And I'll tell you, next year, they'll pay forward and help somebody else out. All right. This is the banner report. This tells you kind of where you're at with regards to each club. And it tells you if you've reached when you've reached your TRF giving. So for E-Ray, your sustaining membership, and it gives you the date that you've made it. So this is for each person in your club. So when you look at this foundation banner, it's going to show all the names of the people on the left. And then the right here will tell you that this person did their $25 minimum. If they did $25 for annual giving, it's going to show E-Ray and TRF because that counts on both sides. And then sustaining is when they hit their $100. Now it doesn't show double sustaining. At one time they did, but I don't know why they removed that. That was my goal one day, to become a double sustaining club, and we hit it. And then they didn't give us anything because they stopped that award. But anyway, it's still a great feat if you could do E-Ray even. You shoot for E-Ray. That's just $25 annual giving for each member. Set that as your goal. That's achievable, and no one's going to scream that you're asking for $25 at the end of the year. And if you do need to pass the hat, that's going to be less painful than someone trying to get $100 and you got 5 people that haven't done it. So I'm going to go through these real quick. But here's
Dave, I just want to double check that any contribution to Polio Plus does not count towards E-Ray, right?
It does not.
Yeah.
It does to TRF. It does count towards TRF and total giving, but not to annual giving. Yeah. So here's a situation where you see that if a club is 100% sustaining at 40 members, that could amount to $4,000. But here's per capita, here's the math, that amounts to actually $22,301, because that total giving was multiplied by everybody that did just $250, and some that gave $1,000, some gave $2,000, some gave $5,000. We don't have the whales like some clubs do, but I will say most of our members are very consistent all the way across the board of giving at least that $250, and that really helps. And then you get those few that give the $1,000. And the nice thing about E-Ray, folks, and I can just tell you why it's changed our club, is because it does create that mindset. And if you have somebody pass away and there are you got to find that whale to replace, or if they retire or leave and they can't afford to continue giving that $5,000, you know, it's nicer to know that all of the money is coming from 100% of your members instead of most of your money coming from 30% of your members or 40%. And no ding on those clubs, because those clubs are doing it the way it works for them, and great. And I think that's fabulous because they're kicking butt on some of the numbers. And I hope I'm not upsetting anybody on that, because they're doing a fabulous job. All right. Paul Harris Fellow and a benefactor report. This also shows you where you are by each individual as far as their benefactors and their Paul Harris Fellows, major donors. All of these reports are available to you. This tells you who's your major donors, who's your bequest societies, 1 or 2. There's a major donor 3 in our club. Paul Harris Society report. This is an interesting one. Who can tell me which one of these is a Paul Harris Society member and bona fide? For 100 points. Don't count the eligible year because that's just too early.
Okay, but there's a column that says PHS member, and there's 5 in there, and in the corner it says Paul Harris members 5. So
okay, so in order for them to be a Paul Harris Society member, they have to be registered as a Paul Harris Society member, and they've also had to meet their $1,000 giving for cash. So this person gave $1,000, and they are a Paul Harris Society member. This person gave $1,000. They gave $1,000 every single year. Shame on me, because I haven't convinced them to sign that paper. But they give $1,000 every year, but they never sign that little promissory note that says, I'll give $1,000. So they are not a Paul Harris Society member. They are only eligible. So they can't be a major, a Triple Crown donor right now if they had all of those criteria. So hopefully that makes sense. They have to be declared, because if they don't declare it, then it could be somebody who just had a good year and they aren't planning on doing it next year.
So it's 228, right?
Yeah. And the monthly contribution report. This is a great one. This is, if you can see this one, do they see this one, Laura? Do they see the monthly contribution report?
We can see it.
Okay, for the monthly contribution report, it'll show every member, every club in our district. It'll show you how many members you started with. It shows you your members. It shows you how much your goal was. Now, this is your annual fund. It shows you what you did for that particular month of that period, and it also is year to date. This is actually current. This, I pulled this one today. And this is other funds. That would be Polio Plus. That could be restricted giving, not annual fund giving. Like say, I want to give my money only to a water project. Then it goes into this category. It doesn't give you, goes to annual fund. And then endowment fund, it's those people that are giving bequests and things of that nature, those there, and then you've got your total. But here's a club that's put down 20 members. They've got $2,000. I would say that's a fair assessment, you know, a fair goal, but they're just hitting it out of the park. They're already at 327%, and they're at $635 year to date, and we're only in November. I mean, we're in September, so they're at 740. They keep this up, they could be giving Sunset a run for their money. But you know, a lot of these are sometimes a big gift from one person, and then it stops. So what we're looking for here, folks, is that this 327%, they don't get any awards for being 327% over their budget. If you were a business person and your budget, you were 320% under your budget, someone say you did something wrong and we better talk. In this case, I might have a conversation with you if you've got 100 members and you're only putting $2,000 down for your goal because you want to blow it out of the park. It doesn't help you. What helps you is to put a realistic, attainable number in there so that we can know that our goal at the bottom of this list, if you go all the way down at the bottom, it'll show you what our goal is as a district. And we want to try to exceed that goal as much as possible and get the maximum amount of it. So if we're having some clubs like this one makes up for another club that's sandbagging, it doesn't really help us when those goals are so short and the other ones are much higher and you're never going to meet them. All right. So no prizes for undervaluating or overvaluating your budget. And Laura, Naomi, no problem with them going back and changing their goals at this time if they want to, can they?
Yes.
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 As long as it goes up.
Yes. As long as it goes up. Right. Yeah.
So Dave, just clarification, points that are attributed to a member as a match would show up as towards their goal, included?
No.
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 It's just the cash.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Actual contributions, right?
Only cash contributions show up as what is given to the annual fund and TRF.
Okay.
Okay. Polio Plus report. You're going to hear more about this during the Polio Plus arena, so we won't go into this one too much, but this is also, we have a goal, folks, this year for Polio Plus for every club. And I want to see that number up there, and Rich wants to see that number up there. So if your number isn't showing, I see a bunch of zeros for club goals. We want to see that same accountability shown by every club as we're showing for annual giving. And I want to thank you all, because this year, you guys are rocking. We've got almost 99% of our members all get a goal in there. And for the large part, I would say they're pretty good goals. All right? They're not bad. Questions and breakout. We don't have any time for breakout. Because, I thought if I wasn't as long-winded, I'd be able to break you guys out and you guys could share stories. But, you know, this is what you could do as a club runner through your foundation shares. You can send emails to all yourselves and you can say, hey, what do you folks do to help spur giving into your club? What do you want to use? You can ask for happy dollars and you can have that give you your annual fund. You could ask for other methods, auction items. You know, we were planning on doing auction items every week, but we were thinking we'd be in person. It's kind of hard to do it in a meeting with a schedule and you're trying to auction something over virtually, but we still are probably going to do that. You know, put a bottle of wine up there, send it up for auction and see how much money you get for it. Get one of Kelly's great scotches and you know, that'll go through the roof. He can sell a cigar with that too. So anyway, folks, it's whatever works for your club. All I ask is that you try your best to come up with some creative ways, reward those people when they do well, get them excited and continue that fever so that they continue doing that day after day and year after year, and that helps future presidents and future giving for other projects. Thank you.
So thank you, Dave. Naomi, are you okay if we take a couple of questions? Is Naomi still there?
Yeah, you can go as far as you want. No
Okay.
problem. So, but anybody who wants to drop off can drop off because it is at the top of the hour.
It is 8 o'clock. Yes, right. Thank you. So anybody wants to stick around? Do you have any questions for Dave or anyone else? Or things
Hi.
to share? Yeah.
Hi, Laura. This is Sharon. I just added to the chat. Dave, can you add your email to the in the chat? So because I really like to borrow your wheel for the month of November or one of the weeks in November.
And Rian also said that he found an online wheel and he put that in the chat as well. So you can find it.
You can find them online. They work great. And I find they do use them a lot at car dealers because they'll do spiffs for people selling cars, and they'll put their own numbers on them and they will get a certain dollar amount once they spin that wheel. Yeah, Mark, go ahead. Mark, you're on mute. If you're going to talk, we got to take you off mute.
Did you see Anne Marie's question? It's a good question. Are there reports for raised Rotary contributions?
To what?
For raised Rotary contributions. That's the new funding platform.
Yeah, not that I know of as of yet, but yeah, it's still early. I haven't seen a report of that yet.
I haven't either.
Well, the amounts that are given is on the website. So you have to go to raised and then you can see how much each team raised, but it won't show on the Rotary side.
It's not going to count towards annual giving or TRS?
It does. It does.
Okay.
But as far as a report to see how much each team gave, you need to go to the raised website.
Okay, I'll check. I will say that to everybody. Excuse me, folks.
The whole foundation team's contact information is on the district website.
Except for mine.
Huh?
I'm not on it.
Oh, we can fix that.
We can fix that.
We can fix that.
That royal we. Naomi will have it done before the end of the meeting.
There was tongue in cheek in that comment, so yes, thank you. You folks can say I speak my piece.
That's why we love you, Dave.
All right, folks, you can have a great year. I know you'll do great. If you have any questions, feel free. Call me up, send me an email. As long as we're not using the wheel, you're welcome to use it. There's no cost for it. And don't worry, it's been banged up. I've dropped it, and it's seen some worse for wear, but it still works fine.
All righty. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.
Well done. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job, Dave. Good job.
Thanks, Alan.
Bye, Dave. Great.
Bye, Dave.
Love the
Awesome
beard,
job.
Leonie.
My beard. It's a race.
Yeah, you gotta grow your hair.
I shaved mine off already.
I already we canceled the Santa parade.
Someone said I looked like Adolf, and I got that.
You look awful without it. Also, we're not gonna let you in
only guys with hair.
Thank you,
we're
Naomi.
not gonna let you in the mustache and beard fellowship. You're gone, man.
Bye now. Good seeing you.
Oh, have a good one, guys.
Naomi,
Take care.
you could join.
Naomi, can you send me the my chits that I have to pay?
I'll send you the.
Thank you.